For those that haven't been to the racetrack, by the way, I thought that I would like the new merchandise tent. If you've been to a race, you know they used to have the haulers, and every driver had a hauler. Or if the drivers weren't as popular, and no offense to Roush Fenway, but say the Roush Fenway team would have one hauler for all their drivers. You know, Dale Jr. has his own separate haulers, multiple ones, because he's more popular, right? Well, in order to save money, NASCAR went ahead and had got rid of the haulers, and now the Fanatics company that sells merchandise puts up this big, huge, these couple of tents, and you go into this merchandise area, you pick out what you want, and then you basically go into a queue, a line to go and purchase your items. You don't buy them individually from the actual driver store. There's just one store, and so you go into an enclosed area where all the teams are, and they're all separated, and Dale Jr. has the largest one, and then you grab the merchandise you want in a bag, and you go and basically check out. Like if it was a Walmart of just NASCAR. How's that? I didn't like it. I honestly didn't like it. I know why NASCAR did it, but I liked the haulers, and I liked being able to stand back and look at everything that was available and pick and choose what I wanted, you know, more so than walking around like it was a Walmart. Or there was a lot of people. It was way crowded. You really felt like you couldn't spend a lot of time looking at the stuff. And I just didn't care for the experience. I'll probably just do most of my purchasing online from now on. Usually I would wait to buy a few items from the racetrack when I went to either of the Phoenix races, but I think from now on I'll just end up purchasing things online. I just didn't find the experience very enjoyable, and I like the haulers. But I understand, you know, they've got to do what they got to do in terms of cost-saving measures. But I just think the other was a better fit. All right, so that covers merchandise. Let's move over to the race in Miami. Dale Jr. made it to the third round in qualifying yesterday. I didn't hear his comments post-qualifying. I think he got a little loose the last run. He ended up qualifying 9th, and the car's better than that. But the good news is that between Phoenix and Miami... Oh, and I got to go back and talk about Phoenix. I'm sorry, so hold on a second. But real quick about qualifying. Both Phoenix and Miami, they've shown a huge improvement in qualifying. And so if they can transfer that into next year, that would be absolutely, fantastic. Because Dale Jr., if he starts near the front, you know, the odds are he's going to finish near the front. He's just better. I went through that a lot in last week's podcast. But just a quick note on the Phoenix race last weekend. I still was giddy that he won. Don't get me wrong. I would have liked to have seen it finish under green, but he deserved to get that win. The commentators made a point, man. He had it. They qualified good, and he kept his car up front. Strategy is strategy. It played into their hands, and to me, it made up for what happened at Talladega. If you can, if the Talladega race, if he had finished the way that he did these last. The other races, he has a chance to win the title. But be that as it may, walking away with that win and kind of stealing one, doing that thing with my fingers, to me, I'm totally fine with that based off of what happened at Talladega. And I was really happy for him. And you know what was cool? And this is what I didn't want to forget to mention. What was cool about it was he found a way to celebrate. And, it was like he's the kind of driver that wants to win straight up. He wants to win under speed, under power, leading the race, taking the checkered flag. And winning because of a rain delay, not having led before that, even though he was in the top 2 or 3 for the majority of the race that took place, he found a reason to celebrate, and he gave it to his crew. And he says, you know what? The crew guys are the ones that are most happy about this because they know that they helped me qualify. And if it hadn't been for that third place starting spot, we probably wouldn't have won it. And I just thought it was so cool that he found a way to celebrate that win, even though he kind of stole one. And again, it just speaks to the kind of guy he is and why he's, why he's my driver and why he's your driver and why he's the most popular driver. All right, so Miami. Let me put it this way. Dale Jr.'s last tweet that I just saw online was his posting of a photograph of the 88 car having the fastest lap averages of everybody. I think he's going to win this race. The only thing, in my opinion, that keeps Dale Jr. from winning this race is some scenario surrounding Jeff Gordon. And that really, the likelihood of that happening is slim when you think about what Jeff Gordon has to do. Now, Dale Jr. said he would block for Gordon if he needed to. But the only scenario where I could see, now, Dale Jr. is going to win the race Sunday, tomorrow. The only reasons he doesn't is if he bangs up the car again, there is some mistake on pit road, or he gets in a wreck. Okay, so barring any unforeseen circumstances, Dale Jr. wins the race. His car is that good, his confidence is that good, and coming off of Phoenix, coming off of Texas with the same car that could have won at Texas, because that's what this car is, he can win the race. The only other reason he doesn't win the race is because of Jeff Gordon, and the only scenario that I can imagine where Dale Jr. gives up the lead for Jeff is if he's running in first, Jeff is running in second, and Jr. is slowing him down, and one of the other chase drivers is closing in on Jeff. Does that make sense? That's the only way, in my view, he doesn't win. I don't think that he will give Gordon the race, but let's say if Junior's leading, Gordon's behind him, and Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., or Kevin Harvick are running in third, and Dale Jr. is slowing down Jeff and causing that third-place car to gain on Jeff, and if they pass him, they win, then I can see Dale Jr. submitting the lead to Jeff so that Jeff doesn't lose the championship. Now, again, it would, I'd say the likelihood of that happening is slim, but then again, look at what happened last year with the 31 car of Ryan Newman, driving down Kevin Harvick in the closing laps of the race, right? So that's the only scenario that I could see, because the only way Jeff loses is if, he comes in second to one of the other chase drivers. That's it. So, the hope is that Jeff is in front of those guys. Is it near Junior? He's running like third or down, and Junior's not a factor in any of that. I just don't want Junior near Jeff to where he has to go and make that decision. Just how great would it be to see Junior walk away at the end of the season with a win at Miami? And you got to go back, by the way. The past 3 years at Miami, he's been dumb fast. He was great there last year, and he was great there the year before. I think the year before was actually the year that he would have won the championship based off of his final finish. And if he wins on Sunday night or Monday, well, please not Monday, God. If he wins there, he would have won the championship if he had made it through Talladega. Now, before I wrap it up, that's my prediction, by the way. That's how Junior wins it. They make no mistakes. He keeps the fenders on it. Okay? And he's not around Jeff Gordon where Jeff Gordon ends up becoming a factor and Dale Jr. has to back off to let Gordon by or he loses the championship. Okay, so there you go. As far as who I want to win the championship, I don't want Kevin Harvick to win. Just not a Kevin Harvick fan. He won last year. I don't want Kevin Harvick to win. I don't really want Kyle Busch to win. I'm not a Kyle Busch fan by any stretch of the imagination. He doesn't bug me as much as he used to. That spot now is reserved for Joey Logano. Joey Logano has now surpassed Kyle Busch in terms of drivers that I don't like. But I have a really, really hard time with Kyle Busch having missed 11 races this season. And I know all the arguments. I've heard them all. I've listened to them all. I get it. And the championship is a separate entity. So it's not like I would be mad, because my opinion is if it happened to Junior, that's the excuse I would make. I would just say, well, look, it's his second season, and it starts over, and he did the best in the second season. But still, I have a hard time with the fact that he was out as many races as he was. I think it would be a fantastic story for Jeff Gordon to win and him being Dale Jr.'s teammate doesn't mean as much to me. I'm not really a Jeff Gordon fan. The problem that I have with Jeff Gordon winning the championship, apart from the nice storyline of him winning the championship in his final year when he retires, the problem that I have is he hasn't been that great all year. I mean, I know he got to where he was, to where he is, but he hasn't really been that consistent. It doesn't change the fact that he's one of the final four, but just in terms of consistency, he hasn't really had it. I really want to see Martin Truex win it. I think Truex is a great guy. Personally, I think he's a good guy. He's been through a lot, obviously. Not that that matters, but he has. But for NASCAR, I think it's a bigger deal having Furniture Row Racing win the championship than it is Jeff Gordon in his final season. I just think that would be awesome. And it would mean a lot for NASCAR. It would mean a lot for the history of the sport to have a single car team walk away with the win. So, if Jeff wins it, I'm cool. I really want Martin Truex to win the championship. Dale Jr. is going to win the race. Then Kyle Busch and then Kevin Harvick. So that's it. We're wrapping up the final podcast for the season. I don't know what my plans are for the offseason. I know that I had said that I was going to do a victory podcast if Dale Jr. won last weekend because I predicted that he was going to win. But again, the only reason I didn't was because I was so dog tired on Monday and Tuesday. I just hadn't recovered very well from all the walking and traveling on Sunday. And because of the nature of the win, I just figured, you know what, let me recap it, go a little longer on next week's podcast, which is why I didn't do a podcast after last weekend's race. Dale Jr. wins on Sunday. The intention is to do one more podcast. And then I will, then I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the offseason. I'm probably going to take a break from doing the Dale Jr. podcast just because it is the offseason. I will do podcasts between now and next year's Daytona 500 if there is breaking news or news about Dale Jr. that I want to cover. So most of you, I think, have subscribed to the podcast, and so you'll get it if it pops up, and of course I'll put it up on my Twitter feed. So that's my intention. But for the most part, I plan on taking a break until next season starts and start the podcast up on a weekly basis, a couple weeks out from Speed Weeks at Daytona. So it's been a fantastic season. Thank you so much for downloading the podcast. It's been amazing watching the downloads go up throughout the season, and I've got a nice audience, and I wouldn't have that audience for this race preview podcast for Dale Jr. if it wasn't for you listening. So thank you so much for listening and for downloading. And I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you want to email me, Justice and the numbers 1041, Justice1041 at gmail.com. Justice1041 at gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Jon Justice or on Facebook. So here is to an amazing season. Here is to what I believe will be Junior's win at Miami whenever they get the race underway. God, please keep the rain away. And until next time, go Junior. I guess it would probably help if I finished out the podcast by actually going and hitting the outro, huh? Go Junior.
My nerd world.
And finally, one of the most unusual pre-race prayers you will ever hear.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you've brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power.